Well, this week we're driving the Durango SRT 392. Probably the most fun, exciting, enjoyable, and maybe one of the best setup performance SUVs on sale. This thing just puts a smile on my face. It's a big Dodge Challenger that's lifted and higher and all-wheel drive, and it's just awesome. I love it. Let's walk you around this thing. We'll take it for a drive, show you what it can do. I actually haven't spent a lot of time in these, just a lot of time in other FCA products, and there are so many similarities here between this and the Challengers and the Chargers. A lot of the same hardware, of course the same engine, a fantastic 8-speed automatic, and of course this is all-wheel drive with a rear biased system that handles incredibly well, very neutral. But in this, you get so much space. The third row in this is actually usable. That's a normal amount of legroom back there. And you get room behind the third row to put things. Amazing. There's even a little bit of storage under here. I mean, if you just need one vehicle to do it all, except get good gas mileage, this is it. Let's pull this down and see. Yeah, look at the amount of space you have behind the second row. It's amazing. Where's my button? Here we go. Captain's chairs in the back. Entertainment back here for the kids to watch movies, hang out. These seats are really easy to operate, lift up, it's all mechanical. Yeah, I mean, this is almost minivan levels of room back here. I'm 5'10", I have plenty of leg room. This is great. Totally usable. Amazing. Easy to get in and out of. That's better than the Telluride. Second row, same story. Lots of places to put things. Amazing amount of cargo room. Adjustable climate control. You've got a 150-watt AC outlet. Heated seats. Put this in the back so it doesn't rattle around too much. HDMI ports for each individual infotainment system. Headphones. And then you've got your climate control back here too. Definitely a little bit more of a luxurious interior than most FCA products. Dodge did a really nice job with this thing. And I will say, just from an insider's perspective, every track event that I go to that FCA is doing with the mama, the Midwest Automotive Media Association or a track school or anything, I see one of these out there and it's hammering around all day long without any issues. A seven-seat SUV, a 3-row SUV on track, and it works. Amazing. All the vents are real. They're functional. And, I mean, despite this being red with the massive 20-inch wheels and the Brembo brakes, this is actually kind of an understated SUV, I think. Besides the stripes, it doesn't really draw a lot of attention or look that much different besides the more aggressive stance and the lowered ride height from a regular Durango. To be honest, sometimes I have a little bit of trouble telling these apart. This steering wheel is wrapped in really nice leather. The shifter feels pretty good. Kind of a weird looking reverse camera, but it gives you a good idea of what's behind you. And then we have all the buttons and knobs we could ever want. Auto climate control, Apple CarPlay, so many settings, so many menus, so much adjustability. There's really just, it's endless. You have your SRT pages. You can go in, set your launch control RPM, your various drive modes, custom, sport, track, auto, snow, tow, eco. It's all there. We'll play around with that a little bit in this drive. And of course, in the gauge cluster, you have your SRT pages that show you like your lap times, your 0 to 60, your braking distance, your G-forces. Adaptive cruise control is down here. Traditional normal cruise control is right here. You can use either one. Your fuel economy, 13.7 mpg. That's actually pretty good. Your trip meter, your towing distance, infotainment with audio. You can customize the gauges, diagnostic services, set a speed warning, miles per hour, and of course your tire pressure, coolant temp, trans temp, oil pressure, oil life, battery voltage, intake air temp, engine torque, engine power, tire pressure. Let's set it on engine power. That's fun. I mean, just they've thought of everything. What would car enthusiasts want in their 3-row SUV? Well, they've given you a lot. I've got my heated steering wheel going, heated seats are on. There are a few menus to get through in this, but at least the screen is responsive. So right now, we're just in, I think this is just a normal, we're in eco mode. Let's go into sport mode. It sounds so good. Track mode. You get great blips on the downshifts. This thing is just, it's vicious. Let's do launch control. One of the first fast all-wheel drive SUVs I ever drove was a Cherokee SRT8, and I remember doing a launch in that thing, and I got a little bit dizzy. Oh. And it's the same story here. You just get a little bit lightheaded. This thing is so composed around corners. The suspension tuning here. Is just amazing. It's incredible. It's stiff overall for a 3-row SUV like this, but when you drive it hard and you push it, God, it's good. What an absolute riot. Such a fun thing. Let's see how it is out of a dig here. So much fun. And then you throw it into auto mode and it just settles down. It hangs out. It cruises at a sweet 1500 RPM. Gets about 17, 18 miles to the gallon. The ride softens up a little bit. You could cruise in this quite comfortably. Suspension's not as stiff as the Ford Explorer ST, which will rattle your kids' teeth out. You could have people in the back and they'd be perfectly comfortable. These seats are phenomenal, great support around corners. They're like racing lounge chairs. If I had kids, this would be a great excuse to buy. That would be a great excuse to buy one of these. You just need one car that does it all. This is it. This is all you need. It's about as fun as I think any of Dodge's performance vehicles, and I say that because it's fun, because it's hilarious, and because of what it is. It shouldn't be able to do the things that it does. It shouldn't be able to take turns at the speeds that it does so well and so neutral and so balanced. I mean, this is probably the best performance SUV on the market in terms of setup and feel and driving enjoyment. It's pretty quick. The only way I'd improve it is throw on a supercharger, make it a Hellcat. This 8-speed is just phenomenal. It's so satisfying. It's perfect every single time. The shifts are quick. It gives you the gear you need. It upshifts at the right time. It doesn't leave your revs hanging up in the power band where you don't need them. It's a really, really smart transmission. And it feels quite luxurious and comfortable in here in a American SUV type of way. There's still a lot of plastics, but all your touch points are great. The leather on the steering wheel is really supple, really soft, very nice. This shifter feels kind of Mercedes AMG-ish. It's a really nice action. And of course you've got the manual mode going the correct direction. Put it back into track mode. Brakes are awesome, fantastic feel. Guys, what else is there that can do this? Not much. Getting on the highway, let's set automatic cruise control. You can skip 5 mile an hour increments by holding the button, change your following distance. Let's see how well it responds going around this this slower truck here. So I put my turn signal on, and it immediately gets going. That's the mark of a great cruise control system. And then it just responds. It does what you want. There's no lag when passing cars. And if you want, you can use regular cruise control too, which a lot of vehicles don't give you the option to do. really pretty quiet on the highway, very comfortable. It's smooth, no vibrations, no rattles. Let's hop into Apple CarPlay and we'll do a little audio test here. This Harman Kardon's a little bit bass heavy. It's not super clear in the midtones, but it's pretty good. You can bump in here. I think for most buyers, this will be perfectly okay as far as the sound system goes. And I mean, you've got the V8 to listen to as well. So what do you really need speakers for? Let's go back into drive modes. And let's put this back into track mode. We'll hit an entrance ramp up here. I was thinking this would be a little bit stiff for most daily driving, but actually it's quite livable. The long wheelbase on this isn't too bad. You get into track mode and it gets a little bit firm, but that's about it. Over a G right there on the G meter. It's just a big Miata. The limits are so easy to feel and to sense. The steering in this is actually pretty good. You can get a lot of feel through the chassis. There's actually a good amount of communication here with what's going on in the front wheels. There's a safe amount of understeer at the limit, but you can also feel this thing could play around a little bit off throttle. You chuck it around corners and probably get some oversteer. It's confidence inspiring. What a thing. Well, I mean, this is about what I expected with this Durango. I definitely prefer this over the Cherokee SRT. I think at this point, Dodge they had their dynamics figured out a little bit better, and they really did a good job setting this car up. It's the suspension tuning, the transmission tuning, the engine tuning, everything it's just so. It's how you want it from a driver's car. And it feels weird saying it about this SUV and it being a Durango, because the standard Durango is okay, but it's nothing really to write home about, whereas this is really something special, and I'm not sure enough people really appreciate how good this SUV is. I'm quite amazed at just what it can do at the limit. There's a C8 Corvette with a wing on it. Yeah, there's definitely some SRT magic here, and again, like I said earlier in this video, at every event where Dodge is coming out to play, I see a few of these out on track, and they're just hammering them all day long, and they don't care. They work. I don't think this quite has the cooling capacity of the Hellcats, but you can still have some fun on this thing. And if I were getting a performance SUV, this would be my number one pick. Forget what BMW is doing, forget what the Europeans are doing. AMG might have something close, but it's going to be more expensive than this. And yeah. Even in eco mode, it sounds good. The amount of personality in this and variability between the drive modes. A few people complained that the digital tachometer was a little bit laggy, and it is. It doesn't quite. It's like it's operating at 20 frames a second instead of 60. But if you go based on sound with the engine at your shift points, like you kind of should be, then it's not as much of an issue. That said, though, this works perfectly well in automatic mode, and yeah, that's probably what you're going to be doing with this most of the time. You can also feel the all-wheel drive system, how much more aggressive it gets in track mode. You kind of get this like clawing at the pavement around corners. I mean, it helps your rotation, it increases turn-in. You can feel the differentials kind of tighten up. One thing we haven't quite done yet is a brake test. Let's do that. Not bad. I mean, the brakes are a little mushy. But I think once you get them heated up a little bit, you'll get some better feel out of them. I cannot believe how good this thing drives, how well it corners, how nice it is. It's just set up so well. Yes. I just want to keep driving it, but I know that I've already burned through 1/8 of a tank on this video. But also, I don't really care because, it's just so much fun. And then you get on the highway and it's comfy. And the tires are so wide that you hit bumps or road imperfections and it just kind of goes over them. And the ride quality is actually quite good. This is totally acceptable. I was expecting it to be way worse. This is very smooth, very livable. Yeah. The want is there. What do you guys think? Sell the GX and get one of these? And there are some little Dodge FCA foibles, like under braking the sunroof cover. It doesn't have enough resistance in it, so it moves forward and back on launch control and on braking. That's always fun. And then, just the quality of certain materials, the plastics and stuff. But honestly, I think they've done a pretty good job hiding everything. This is a $78,000 SUV, but it has Alcantara, suede headliner, really nice leather on the door and everywhere. And I think all the other options on the market that punch at this level, performance-wise, are as much, if not more expensive. And on the DL, I looked at Auto Trader. There are some of these selling used for $45,000, and that might be the bargain of the century. Oh boy. Yes, you guys. Just yes. Well, let's do one more entrance ramp. Just because I kind of want to feel this thing in auto mode. Very little body roll. It transitions beautifully on turn-in. And those shifts are just so satisfying. At speed over bumps too, like that's something you don't feel in a lot of performance vehicles, is just the composure and the solidity over rough pavement under hard cornering. This it nails that perfectly. It's pretty amazing. There's another one. I have pretty good visibility too. This is a massive SUV, and I don't feel terribly nervous about what I'm going to accidentally run over in this. I'm quite impressed by the comfort level and the refinement. It's actually pretty luxurious in here. Normally I would have stopped this video about 5-10 minutes ago, but I don't know, I'm just gonna keep driving. Also, the gauge cluster turns red when you need to shift, and that's a pretty good indicator. If you're on your shift points, as soon as it turns red, you hit the paddle, you're all set. Traction control's limiting me a little bit in first gear. Should probably turn that off at some point, but I think with the amount of usability, practicality, luxury offered here, it's a pretty compelling vehicle. It's got American muscle, European dynamic refinement, even better than the Europeans in many respects. And you've got a lot of tech, you've got great ergonomics, really usable features, a lot of information for the performance-minded enthusiast. All right, from a dig here, right-hand turn. Let's see how it handles this exit. A little bit of wheel spin from the front, but did the job. I think the only point at which this doesn't quite work as an SUV is if you need something with ground clearance and off-road ability. You know, this will go off-road, but it has performance summer tires on it. The ground clearance is not that much because there are brake cooling guides in the front end that reduce the front ground clearance by about 2 inches. When I park, I'll show you guys that. But yeah, this definitely isn't an off-roader SUV. This is a street performance SUV. But who goes off-road anymore anyway in their 3-row SUV? If you need something like that, there's nothing that can do it all. But this is pretty darn close. And it's not numb. I can feel the engine vibration through the throttle. I can kind of feel the exhaust note through the floorboards, just faintly. And it gives it that level of excitement that is missing in most SUVs. Like, take the X4M, for example, last week. That thing it's a performance powerhouse. It's really, really capable, really, really fast. But you try to drive that thing smoothly or as a daily driver, and it falls flat on its face. It cannot handle normal driving scenarios smoothly. It's a total pig. And this has the level of refinement that never had. And it's pretty amazing that it can do both better than the X4M does, in my opinion. All right, guys, let's show you one more walk around of this thing, and we'll wrap up the video here. This went a little bit longer than I anticipated, but it was a little bit more fun to drive than I anticipated. I'm smiling for sure. And because it's low, it's easy to get in and out of. I would buy one of these. I don't say that about a lot of cars, but I would buy one of these. Yeah, see these cooling guides here? They're just directing air straight into that rotor. You could probably pull them off with a couple, drill out the rivets, get a little bit more ground clearance if you don't already rip them off, but yeah. Okay guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. We'll also be posting some videos on this on the Winding Road channel, day drive, night drive. You know the deal. Good stuff here. FCA is still having fun while they can, and this is one of the best performance vehicles they've ever made. It's right up there with the Chargers, the Challengers, the Hellcats, the 392s, the Scat Packs, the wide bodies, the red eyes, the Demons. That's some hood gap, but you know, who cares? Whatever. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you later.